Is there anything more scandalous in the world of sports than when a superstar athlete gets caught cheating? From doping to ball tampering, they always think they can get away with it. Right up until their dirty deeds are exposed for all the world to see. So, without further ado, let's take a look at even more athletes who got caught cheating. The Hand of God. Soccer is often called the beautiful game, although I doubt England fans felt that way after the 1986 World Cup quarterfinals. In what soon became the most infamous match in history, England got to face off against Argentina on the pitch. The first half of the match passed without any goals at all, but suddenly, Argentina's captain Diego Maradona skipped past 3 England players, slid into their box, and knocked the ball into the goal. From afar, it looked like he'd used his head to bounce the ball in, and his freewheeling celebration certainly sold it as a legitimate goal. But the referee failed to spot that Maradona had actually used his hand to punt the ball in, which is obviously an illegal move. I mean, the English call it football for a reason. Astoundingly, though, there were no yellow cards, no penalties, and the goal was considered valid. The match continued like nothing had happened, and while Maradona went on to score another, more legal goal, England ended up losing by just 1. After the match, Maradona audaciously admitted that the goal was scored a little with the head of Maradona and a little with the hand of God. This left England fans understandably frustrated, but with no punishment ever levied against him, it cemented Maradona's reputation as a soccer legend. Argentina went on to win the 1986 World Cup, but Maradona sadly passed away in 2020. Hopefully, he was welcomed into heaven by the hands of God. Brian Carrasco. Desperate times call for desperate measures, but even with that being said, soccer player Brian Carrasco went to some disastrously desperate depths back in 2011. During the South American Under-20s World Cup qualifier between Chile and Ecuador, the Chilean defender pulled a stunt that will go down in history for all the wrong reasons. With just 14 minutes of the match left, Chile was losing 1-0 and defending against a throw that was deep in their own half. It wasn't looking good for Chile, but instead of using his head, Carrasco decided to use his arm, or more specifically, the arm of his opponent. As the throw was being lined up, Carrasco suddenly grabbed Ecuadorian forward Edson Montaño's hand and flung it into his own face. After dramatically rolling about on the floor, the referee saw the imagined infraction and awarded a free kick to Chile. Somehow, Carrasco's pathetic ploy had worked. But unfortunately for him, every second of his dumb charade was caught on camera, and it was replayed over and over on TV while the commentators rightfully laughed at him. Wow, that's a handy stunt even Maradona would be proud of. Ultimately, this theatrical attempt at cheating was all in vain. Chile missed their free kick, and Ecuador triumphed over them 1-0. But for that performance, I guess you have to give Carrasco a hand, as long as it's not Montaño's. Shahid Afridi. Playing sports can really work up your appetite, but that didn't excuse Pakistani cricketer Shahid Afridi's actions out on the pitch in 2010. In the final throes of Pakistan's one-day international game against Australia, team captain Afridi was looking down the barrel of a big loss. So, to make sure his bowler had a better grip on the ball, Afridi decided to scuff it and give his team an edge. But he didn't subtly dig his nails into it or scratch at it with something in his pocket. Instead, the cameras caught him chomping down on that big hard ball like it was some sort of apple. His baffling biting behavior caught the attention of umpires immediately, but Afridi claimed that he'd just been sniffing it. Does someone want to tell Afridi that traditionally you smell with your nose, not your teeth? With the video ref replay firmly against him, he eventually admitted to ball tampering. While almost every cricketer is guilty of scuffing the ball in one way or another, ball tampering like this is expressly forbidden by the International Cricket Council Code of Conduct. As such, Afridi was hit with a hefty 2-match ban. Hopefully, that was enough time for him to fill up on food, so he won't resort to snacking down on his cricket equipment again. Patrick Reed. When it comes to golf, most people think the sport's biggest cheater is Tiger Woods, but that's the wrong kind of cheating. Out on the green, that title sits firmly in the hands of Patrick Reed. The 2018 Masters champion first came under fire during the 2019 Hero World Challenge when his ball got stuck in a sand bunker. All golf fans know that these shots are a real pain to hit because of their awkward angle. Stuck in this sandy situation, Reed decided to test out a variety of clubs, but the cameras caught him sneakily shifting sand out of the way with each swing, giving him a cleaner shot. Now, it's illegal to even ground the club like this on a practice swing, never mind shift entire sandcastles worth of sand out of the way. Thankfully, he got what he deserved. Not only was he given a 2-stroke penalty, but his ball rolled over and off the green. Talk about a stroke of karma. Although his cheating streak didn't end there. In the 2020 US Open, he was caught patting down the rough around his ball to improve his shot. Like I said, grounding the club like this is just not allowed. And what's even more embarrassing is that, once again, the cheat didn't improve his game. His 7-over-par performance lost him the top spot, all while he was being called out as a serial cheater online. You'd think that'd be enough for him to learn his lesson, right? Boy, oh boy, how wrong you are. As recently as March 2021 at the Arnold Palmer Invitational, spectators were quick to pick up on Reed fiddling and moving the grass behind his ball at the 17th hole. While no penalty strokes or actions were leveled against him, angry fans sent out a flurry of irate tweets questioning exactly what he thought he was doing. Well, if you ask me, it looks like this serial golf cheater is trying to give Tiger Woods a run for his money. Valentino Rossi. In the high-speed world of Grand Prix motorcycle racing, there are few rivalries as spicy as the one between Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi. These two tire titans have been clashing since 2015, where they've battled it out at speeds of over 200 miles per hour on tracks all over the world. But their ramped-up rivalry reached a boiling point during the 2015 Malaysian Grand Prix. As Marquez was getting ready to overtake Rossi on a corner of the 13th lap, the two came within touching distance of one another. But all of a sudden, Marquez's bike dipped and crashed, careering him off the track. Fortunately, he walked away uninjured, but Marquez claimed Rossi had purposefully kicked his bike, and the video replay seemed to back his story up. 9-time world champion Rossi adamantly denied the allegation, although he did admit to riding wide on the corner to try and slow Marquez up. After reviewing the footage, the judges sided with Marquez and slapped a 3-point penalty on Rossi, forcing him to start at the back of the grid in the next race. Rossi later accused Marquez of lying to give another one of his teammates on the track a winning advantage, but Marquez claimed Rossi kicked him over to take the title. Now, it's kind of unclear what really went down on the track, aside from Marquez's bike. So what do you think? Is Rossi innocent? Or did Marquez really get kicked to the curb? Let me know down in the comments. Deflategate. Now, despite what you may think, the largest scandal to rock the world of American football in the last decade wasn't to do with steroids or doping, but with the footballs themselves. Though it actually all started back in 2006. This is when New England Patriots quarterback Tom Brady proposed a new rule to the NFL, that the teams should be allowed to provide their own balls. Tom argued every team likes differently pressurized balls, as he himself found a slightly softer ball was easier to catch and throw. Because teams always use their own balls when they're on offense, this new rule seemed innocent enough. But following a championship game against the Indiana Colts in 2015, which the Patriots won 45-7, the Colts noticed that the Patriots' ball felt strangely flat. NFL officials took a look and discovered that not only was the ball inflated below standard, but a shocking 11 of the Patriots' 12 balls did not meet their minimum criteria. One was even a whopping 2 pounds of pressure short. These softer, easier-to-catch balls had given the Patriots an unfair advantage in their offense. But strangely, all these balls had been checked by officials at the beginning of the game. An NFL investigation was launched and discovered that members of the Patriots locker room staff likely deflated their footballs on purpose after they'd been checked by the officials. But it appeared Tom Brady knew about this, or even worse, it had been done on his instruction. The NFL slapped Brady with a 4-game suspension without pay, and the Patriots were fined a whopping $1 million. Brady immediately appealed his suspension, which looked like it was going to be overturned. But then he did something so suspicious that it was almost impossible to think he was innocent. On the day he was due to meet with investigators, he had his cell phone destroyed. 4 months of potentially incriminating messages and data were irretrievably lost. And despite Brady's numerous excuses, the courts upheld his suspension. Brady continued to fight the ban, but all his petitions were denied. While he's never admitted to the allegations, we can only hope he'll eventually come to grips with the truth as well as a properly pumped up ball. Hippolyte Aucouturier. When it comes to crowning the ultimate cycling cheater, you might think that Lance Armstrong wins by a mile. But trust me, the astounding antics of one Hippolyte Aucouturier make Armstrong look like a total amateur. When the very first Tour de France started in 1903, almost every competitor cheated. Not by something as basic and boring as doping, but by inventing incredible, mind-boggling cheats. Competitors laced each other's shorts with itching powder, they showered the roads with broken glass to slow their rivals down, and even hired thugs to beat up opponents mid-race. But Hippolyte beat them all when it came to sheer creativity. Looking like a stereotypical vaudevillain from an old cartoon, he himself fell victim to a cheat in 1903 when another cyclist spiked his bottle of lemonade. But when he tried again in 1904, he had his own cheat up his sleeve, or should I say, in his teeth. At one point of the race, he was spotted trailing swiftly behind the leading car, but a little too swiftly. Looking closer, spectators saw Hippolyte was holding a cork in his mouth that was attached to the car by a length of thread. For miles, he was towed along like this, leaving his competitors in the dust. And he would have gotten away with it if only the car hadn't been going so fast. He reached the finish line so suspiciously quickly that he was eventually disqualified. Sacre bleu. Emily Clark. When Emily Clark finished second in the 2019 Apple Tree Half Marathon in Vancouver, officials were quick to congratulate her. But as other female racers began crossing the line, they were all confused because none of them had seen Clark pass them at any point. Concerned, they began checking official race photos, and sure enough, none of them showed Clark among the fastest women at any point in the race, except at the end. They confronted Clark with the evidence, but she boldly denied that she'd cheated. It was then that the race organization's president stepped forward and said that she'd seen Clark riding a bike during the race with her own two eyes. Even with this indisputable accusation against her, Clark doubled down and claimed that it must have been her twin sister riding the bike. As you can probably guess, officials did some digging and revealed Clark had no twin sister, or integrity at that. Eventually, she confessed to course cutting and apologized, before also confessing to cutting corners in at least 5 other races over the years. Happy with the admission and apology, race officials decided to drop the matter. But the drama didn't end there. Just a few hours later, Clark had the audacity to post this on her Instagram stories, claiming she'd actually been disqualified because of her build. Infuriated, investigators kept close tabs on her and finally caught her red-handed, or technically red-footed, during the Chicago Marathon just 3 weeks later. She'd finished in under 4 hours, but just one look at her time splits revealed that she'd brazenly cut the course yet again. She started off running at a regular 12.16 minutes a mile, but between the 25K and 30K markers, she suddenly started doubling her pace, running at a staggering 6.13 minutes a mile. So, after running an exhausting 25 kilometers, she'd either found the energy to sprint like Usain Bolt on steroids, or she skipped out on parts of the course. With the evidence piled against her, she was disqualified from the marathon and hasn't run in any officiated events since. For all the corners she cut, it looks like she still couldn't outrun the truth. Marion Jones. After the 2000 Summer Olympics, Marion Jones quickly became an American household name. The track and field athlete left the competition eating her dust in not 1, not 2, but 5 events. This made her the first female track and field athlete to win a phenomenal 5 medals at a single Olympics, although it hadn't been easy. Jones had been competing internationally since she was 12 years old, but ever since she missed a random drug test in high school, she'd been hounded by allegations that she used illegal performance-enhancing drugs. Though none of the tests she did take ever came back positive, and she was so against them that in her autobiography, she blamed the breakup of her marriage to coach CJ Hunter on the fact he wouldn't stop taking steroids. But in 2004, Jones fell from grace when the corrupt head of the Bay Area Laboratory Cooperative admitted to supplying her with performance-enhancing drugs before, during, and after the Olympics. Not only that, he claimed he'd even watched her inject them. Initially, Marion denied everything, but karma came knocking when her ex-husband CJ Hunter claimed he'd also seen Jones inject herself with the drugs. Then, in 2007, after years of allegations and investigations, Jones finally admitted to lying to federal agents about taking illegal substances prior to the Olympics.
I pled guilty to 2 counts of making false statements to federal agents.
She was forced to return all her medals, her tainted records were erased, and she was given a 6-month prison sentence for lying under oath. Yikes. Boris Onyshenko. In the Olympics, one of the toughest events an athlete can compete in is the modern pentathlon. These competitors must swim, shoot, run, horse ride, and fence to the very best of their abilities in order to bring back the gold. But at the 1976 Olympics, Soviet world champion Boris Onyshenko dared to try a different approach. During the fencing event, which was a one-touch-a-pay tournament, Onyshenko faced off against Britain's Adrian Parker. Now, the slim swords were designed to electronically register a hit if their tips encountered more than just 750 grams of force. But when Onyshenko lunged and missed Parker, it registered a hit anyway. The fight was over, but Parker protested to the judges that he hadn't been hit. Confused, they inspected Onyshenko's sword, although nothing seemed wrong. So, putting the complaint down to Parker's want of a win, Onyshenko was declared victorious, but he then went on to face ex-Army Sergeant Jim Fox, and the same thing happened. As the scoreboard lit up with points in Onyshenko's favor, Fox cried foul. By this point, the judges must have assumed the Brits were just having a good old moan. But a closer inspection of Onyshenko's épée revealed a shocking discovery. The wires of his épée had been illegally modified to include a small, subtle switch. When Onyshenko hit the switch with his fingers, it closed the circuit and mimicked a hit, without the sword ever needing to touch his opponent. Onyshenko was immediately disqualified from the competition, which forced the Soviet Union to withdraw completely from the team event. Guess he turned out to be Onyshenko. North Korean Olympic meltdown. The 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Olympics was full of unbelievable displays, like the incredible opening ceremony and the shattering of more than 10 world records. But it was North Korea's blatant attempt at cheating that really stole the spotlight. During the men's 500-meter speed skating trials, 16-year-old John Kwang-bom, who hailed from the mysterious Hermit Kingdom, stepped up to the starting line. He had the inside track, along with a small army of cheerleaders rooting for him, so he appeared to have an upper hand in the race. He readied himself, the gun went off, and then Zhang face-planted hard into the ice. But moments later, the naughty North Korean flung his hand out and grabbed the skate of his Japanese rival, Ryosuke Sakazumi, in an attempt to send him crashing as well. Unlucky for him, the split-second decision was caught on camera and broadcast for the entire world to see. Despite the dirty tactic, Zhang was given the benefit of the doubt and the race was restarted. But the second time around, he seemed to purposefully bump into the Japanese skater before tumbling and crashing into the outside wall. This strange attempt at sabotage ended up costing Zhang his qualification into the next heat. But the Olympic judges disqualified him for his unsportsmanlike behavior all the same. I don't know how they train their skaters in North Korea, but they could certainly do with a few lessons in subtlety. Mike Tyson. Most people know Mike Tyson for being the youngest heavyweight boxing champion in the world, or for his huge facial tattoo. But there's another, much more infamous reason why people remember Tyson's name. Back in 1997, Tyson went toe-to-toe with Evander Holyfield, and in the second round, Holyfield headbutted Tyson. The illegal move looked like an accident, but it enraged Tyson to the point of no return. In the third round, he spat out his mouth guard and, during a struggle, bit a chunk out of Holyfield's right ear. Now, I hope I don't need to tell you that biting is an illegal move in almost all sports, with the exception of competitive eating. But with cameras broadcasting their every move to nearly 2 million people watching at home, it was a stunningly dumb move. Though Holyfield was in a lot of pain, the doctor said he could continue, and the ref decided to dock Tyson 2 points for his cannibalistic counterattack. The round resumed even as the crowd started writing Tyson off, though he wasn't done yet. Twisted together in another struggle, Tyson reached forward and unbelievably bit Holyfield's other ear. Holyfield was furious, and with 10 seconds left in the third round, Tyson was finally disqualified. Not only that, but the savage stunt saw Tyson's boxing license revoked and landed him with a phenomenal fine of $3 million. Well, I guess Mike showed the world that if you can't beat him, just eat him. If you want even more athletes caught cheating, be sure to check out parts 1 and 2 of this scandalous series. I'll leave their links in the description below. And have you ever spotted an athlete breaking the rules with your own eyes? Let me know down in the comments. Thanks for watching.